Hello, 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 everyone. It's me, Dr. KSD, and I am here with my brand new podcast. Yes, it's been a long time coming, but guess what? One thing I do know how to do is be obedient to the Lord. It's been on my mind, it's been on my heart. I have been hesitant because I didn't think I should be doing it and I didn't think I could do it in my own might, but I had to have a come to Jesus moment and understand that nothing I do is in my own might. Everything I do is by the power of Father God Almighty. He is the one who gives me the ability to be me, to stand on His word, to stand firm in being uniquely who I am and being proud and confident about it. So, here I am. And listen, my desire is to set the captives free. There are too many of you out there who are being held hostage in prison, and you don't even realize it. So here is where we are going to discover the many chains that have us in bondage, how to break free from those chains and live the life that God created us to live to our full potential, the best version of us that there is. Oh, baby. So let's get to it. So, this here is the Purpose for Greatness podcast with Dr. KSD. And for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Kimberly Smith Dotrieve, but let me put it simply. I am a Christian, a wife, a mother, a physician. To put it simply, I am a Christian, a wife, a mother, a physician, an author, a transformational keynote speaker, and a life coach. Seven. Do you know what the significance of seven is? Well, let me give you a little information. Seven is the number of completion and perfection. Was it not in 7 days that the Lord created the earth and the heavens and the stars and the moons and you and me? Well, Adam and Eve. And seven also represents the fulfillment of promises and oaths. You know, my baby boy was born on October the 7th, and I never realized the significance of that number. But we're going to get more into that later on. So, this podcast, Purpose for Greatness, is to help you realize that God created you for a purpose. Jeremiah 1 and 5 says, before you were formed, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart. So listen, before you were formed, God knew. You know why He knew? Because before we were ever formed, He had something in mind that He needed to be done. And when He figured out, I need this to be done, we came into mind. He created us with a purpose in mind. And then, before we were ever born, He set us apart. He put us to the side to be uniquely, individually who we are. You know what that means? We were never meant to be clones of one another. We were never meant to fit in anybody else's box. We were never meant to mimic anybody or to be anybody's puppet. We were created to be exactly who we are, to think like we think, to talk like we talk, to look like we look, to walk like we walk. So tell me something. Why are you out here in these streets trying to be like them other folks when you are designed to be a unicorn? Why would you want to fit in with other people anyway? Baby, unique is where it is. And the only folks wanting a clown, talking about, oh, why you talk like that? Why you look like that? Why? It's because they themselves don't have the confidence or the boldness that's needed for you to step out in faith and believe God at His word that He created a unique and perfect thing, and He that created that thing will complete that thing. Okay, we go again with the completion, the number 7. So don't be worried about what other people think about you. In the words of T.D. Jakes, what somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. And in the words of Dr. KSD, that's me, what other people think about you should have not a single bit of bearing on your life. Baby, live. Live confidently and boldly as the you God made you to be. So, why are we here? We are here because holidays are here. We just celebrated good old Grateful Day Thanksgiving. And I hope you all spent some time with your family and friends and remember to be grateful for so much that we still have. But this here is the beginning of a 6-part series because I realize the holidays are hard for a lot of people. You know how I know? Because they were hard for me. And I'm going to be real with you. Until about 5 years ago, baby, the holidays were it for me. I celebrated every holiday. We built our house to be the gathering house. So every holiday was spent here at Mikasa. Why? Because I am an only child. And as an only child, I spent a whole lot of time by myself. And it was lonely. At times it was lonely. Now I like my space. Let's not get it wrong. Let's not get it twisted. I like my space, but my mom was one of 11 coming up. So I had a whole lot of cousins that I spent a lot of times with, and those were marvelous, spectacular times. I love those times. And so now I still love gathering. And we made our house to be a gathering place, large enough for both my family and my husband's family to gather so that we could all enjoy the holidays together. Well, 5 years ago, that all changed. To be exact, August 27th of 2019. That was the day a distracted driver drove into the lane that my husband and my son were in and hit them head on, snatching my baby boy from me in the physical forever. Now, those of you who don't know my story, I'm pretty sure your heart just dropped. I want to let you know that was by far the most trying time I have ever had in my life. As a physician, dealing with grief all as a physician, dealing with death all the time, oh, baby, I was not prepared at all because you are never, ever prepared to lose somebody you love and to just have them snatched. I mean, let me just, we get into the holidays, but let me just share this with you. I never realized how final death was until my baby boy passed away. No rewind, no do-over. That's just it. And so it changes your perspective on life in general. I didn't want to do anything at all. I did not want to celebrate any holidays, and I did not. 19, 20, nor 21. But Thanksgiving of 2021, God spoke to me and showed me how I was letting the devil win. And that's where we are today. There's so many of you out there. You may not have experienced the death of a loved one, but there's so many losses that we can experience in our lifetime. And those losses, if they are not dealt with properly, will lead you down the path of grief. And when grief gets its claws in you, baby, it tries to never let go, and it will try and rob you of every single thing you have. And guess what? All of these years, grief has been the uninvited guest at every single holiday function that you have. Sometimes you knew grief was going to show up, so you just didn't even go and celebrate the holidays at all. But grief does not get the final say. Repeat that with me. Grief does not get the final say. No, it does not. And we are going to put our foots down. Oh, not our foots. And we are going to put our feet, mm-mm. And we're going to put our foot down today. And we are going to decree and declare that grief, you are no longer welcome. Bye, boy. Bye, boy. Bye, girl. Bye, whatever you are. Goodbye. Farewell. So long. You are not invited today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Never again. And we are going to tear down those walls and sever the ties to those things that have kept us anchored to that grief. All right, so let's get to it. So, as I told you, our house was the holiday house. Everybody gathered here. I am the mother of two living children and four bonus children and a host of aunts, uncles, cousins. We gathered here most of the time, but we stopped gathering. And as I told you, it was just too hard. I felt guilty. I felt grieved, but I also felt guilty. I felt like it's not right to be celebrating the holidays and my baby boy is not here. Can any of you relate? Well, God laid it on my heart. Every time I allow the devil to inundate me with grief, with thoughts of my baby boy being gone, thoughts of the loss, thoughts of him not being in his room, thoughts of him not being here laughing, thoughts of him not participating. It made me want to crawl up in the bed, curl up, and just cry in that fetal position, just cry, cry, cry. And God told me, well, do you love Papa more than you love your other children? Because while Papa is gone, they are still here and you're neglecting them. And it's really not fair to them that they don't get to keep the best of you because, see, they were grieving as well. And if I refuse to get out of that bed and fight the devil on this, not only would he have me, not only would he steal my joy, my peace, my purpose, but he would also steal it from my children. Now, I don't know how many of you out there are mamas, but let me tell you, if you are a mama bear out there, baby, mama grizzly bear gonna rise up anytime anything threatens her children. And that's exactly what God did for me. He made me realize that this is not just about me. And while I was hurting and while I had every right to hurt, I wasn't the only one hurting. And I owed it to my babies. I mean, they're grown, but I owed it to them to let them understand I did not love him more than I loved them. I just was hurting a lot. But even in the midst of my grief, baby, I love them. And I wanted to make more beautiful memories with them. And that's what I did. I got my butt out of that bed and I put one foot in front of the other. I didn't make it to Thanksgiving that year, but I made it to Christmas. And while we didn't do anything until Christmas Eve, baby, I made it. That was all that mattered. I made it. And so I want to I want to give you some information that you might find pretty interesting. I looked at statistics for the holidays, trying to figure out how are people feeling around the holidays. And guess what? The statistics showed in a survey that was done by the American Psychological Association that 63% of the people surveyed were dreading the holidays. Dreading. That's right. 63% were dreading the holidays. Is that not crazy? And I thought it was crazy because for me, this is the most wonderful time of the year. Okay, so a survey done by the American Psychological Association surveyed A survey done by the American Psychological Association showed that 63% of the people surveyed were dreading the holidays. I find that so crazy because it is the most wonderful time of the year. I've always looked at the holidays, especially the Christmas holidays, as the time of the year that brings out the best in people. Yet there are 63% of these people who are not happy at all and are really wishing that it would just go away. And of those people, 49% said that their stress was at 49%. Mm. And of those 63%, and and of the three, mm, and of the 63%, 49% said that their stress was at a moderate level. Moderate. And 43% said that they just could not wait for this to be done with because they were just really knowing things were going to get worse as the holiday season went on. And then that led me to wonder what are the causes of grief? And as you see here, first and foremost, financial distress. Finances have been the root of distress, depression, sadness, you name it. You name a negative emotion, finances are probably at the root of it all. The number one reason why people divorce, finances play a huge part in people's lives, and the lack of literally makes it very, very difficult for people to live a happy life. And now we're going to talk about this more in another segment, but let me make you understand something. Our joy, our peace, our happiness, there should be nothing tangible on this earth that compromises how we feel about ourselves inside. There's something in the Bible where Paul says that he has learned to be content, whether he has little are a lot. We we have to get there, but that's for another segment. Finances, number one, at 68%. Following finances is missed loved ones, which we're gonna talk about that one later on. But 38% were dreading the holidays because of missed loved ones. Then 22% were afraid of the conflicts that they knew were going to happen at the family dinner. They were afraid of the shenanigans that were going to be going on, the happenings. Mm. And 20% were just knowing, feeling like they were just going to be alone. What exactly is grief? Well, grief are the unexpressed emotions that sit in here, in your core, weighing you down, robbing you of your joy, your peace, your happiness, and your purpose. Grief will rob you of the rest of your life. Now, here I want to take a minute to get something straight. You can be sad, you can be depressed, or you can be grieved. They are not the same. People who are sad usually perk up for the holidays. You might be sad about whatever it is that's going on in life, because you know life be lifing. And still, when the holidays roll around, it's the excitement of the holidays, people loving on one another, you being around family and friends. It makes you feel so much better. So sadness is an emotion that can be improved when the holidays come around. Depression, on the other hand, that is a medical issue. It is a medical disease that can be treated with medication. And with the right combination of medicines, you can feel better from that depression and still go on and enjoy your holidays. Grief? Mm-mm. Not so with grief. It doesn't matter what you do. When people are grieved, the holidays won't perk them up. People, family, friends, going out to the movies, going to parties, medication, none of those things will help grief, because grief can only be tackled by helping somebody to figure out what is keeping them from expressing the emotions that they are feeling inside. It is not an easy task. That's why, from generation to generation, people have been passing down these bad tools trying to help people get over grief, and they have just not worked. They have not worked because those tools are not the right tools. But Pastor DJ said something very interesting in church today, something I have been reading for months and months and months. You know what the definition of insanity is? Repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result every time. Why would we expect a different result? Why would we think the same old tired tools that we have been passing down from generation to generation would be helpful when they didn't help the generation before us? Oh, I know. Because the phrase that I dislike the most, oh, because it's always been that way. Oh, I just, mm. Y'all, if you want to see me get riled up, say something like that. Say something like that. You know why? Because who cares? I don't care how it's always been done. What does that have to do with me? And guess what? If it's always been done that way and it has always not worked, why would we keep doing it? Ask yourself that question. So grief has had its grips in people from generation to generation for centuries. Why? Because people are afraid to step out and do something different. Well, baby, look, when you look for different, look for me because we are doing it differently. Because when I tried the same old ways, when I tried the old tired traditions, when I tried the negatively inherited mindsets that families pass down from generation to generation, they did not work. But what I did realize was the reason people are in bondage, the reason people have been grieved for so long, the reason that people are grieved and they don't even know it, locked up in a prison of grief, not even realizing that the door is not even locked. Y'all, there's not even a lock on the door. But people have been staying in that prison because that's how it's always been done. Mm. Well, baby, I am here to set the captives free. Because tired old traditions, negatively inherited mindsets, and past hurts have held us hostage for far too long. It's time for us to escape, to break those chains, to break the chains of tradition, to break the generational curses that have held us hostage so that we can live the life we were created to live. And it starts now, right here, right now. Now, now that I got that off my chest, let's get to the misloved ones. 38% of people, 38% of the people surveyed were dreading. 38%, 38% of the people surveyed were dreading the holidays because they did not want to have to deal with the grief, the pain of lost loved ones or missed loved ones. And those missed loved ones can come in three categories. And those missed loved ones can be in one of three categories. One, unfortunately, death, as is the case for me. Number two, distance. Your loved one might not just be physically in the same city that you are. They may be abroad, they might be in the military, they may be off working, and broken relationships. So, we're really going to talk about the death of the loved one, but let me just hit real quick on the first two. But let me just give you some pointers real quick on the other two. For those of you who are dealing with a loved one who is just not physically here with you, I just have a few pointers for you. A few things that you may want to consider this holiday season to make it a lot better and make it feel as though your loved one is actually right here with you. First, virtual visits, baby, with the invent of FaceTime, Google Meet. I don't know what are other ways that you can do this. You can do these things in so many ways, but you can virtually have your loved one in the room with you, doing things with you as though they were physically there. Take advantage of those things. You can make what You can make holiday cocoa. You can do the gingerbread house. You can put your tree up at the same time, put your ornaments up at the same time. You can play games together. You can have digital digital photo albums where you put photo albums together digitally digitally so that your family members, no matter where they are, can participate. There's so many things you can do with the virtual realm because of technology. Technology can make it feel like your loved one is right there with you. Watch movies together, all of those things. Or you can even send a care package or a digital card, letting your loved ones know that you are thinking of them. If you have broken relationships, listen, Those can be hard because you want to be together. They might be right around the corner, but you can't because something has happened with the relationship. Listen, until that relationship is mended, things that you can do include spend time with your spiritual family. God has given us a spiritual family. And let me tell you, sometimes that spiritual family, baby, they say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes the spiritual family has your back better than, greater than, more times than your blood family does. Don't count them out. And don't miss out on spending time with them because these are the people who love you just as you are. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to be someone you are not. You ain't got to listen to crap about when you get married. How come your girlfriend not here? Where's your boy? How what happened? You ain't got to listen to none of that with the spiritual family. Spiritual family just want to be with you. So consider that. Or consider creating a new tradition. You don't have to stick to the same old tired traditions. I don't know who out there needs to hear this, but baby, make your own way, create your own traditions, forge your own path. You do not have to be tied down to the way things have always been done. Please get rid of that notion that we are stuck to that. If you want to do it, fine. But if you don't want to do it, baby, still fine. Go to the beach, go abroad, make new traditions. Heck, you might just want to go to Jamaica and spend it there and get you a whole nother set of family and friends out there who you can celebrate your holidays with. The point is, don't stay stuck. And listen, don't go on social media stalking them people neither, because all that's going to do is make you feel worse. And anyway, why you hadn't blocked them anyway? If the relationship is broken, you need to block those relationships on the social media platforms too. And you know why? Because all that does is make you feel worse. You're either gonna be pissed off because they're doing something you wish you would be doing too, or you're gonna be mad because they're spending time with somebody you didn't think they should be spending time with because it's not you. But look, whatever the case may be, cut the ties and you can unblock them when the relationship is fixed. Now, let's get to the misloved ones. That by far, when it's now, let's get to the loss of loved ones because of death. That by far is the hardest one because, be that as it may, you want them here. There is nothing that you can do to physically have them here. But my baby boy is not here physically, but baby, let me tell you, he is present every single holiday. Matter of fact, for me, he's present every day of the year. In spirit, I refuse to let my baby boy's spirit die down. So I bring him up every occasion that I can. Baby, I bring him up so much that people who don't know him feel like they do because that's just how much I talk about him. I would talk about what he would have been doing at this time, how big he probably would be, how he would probably be reacting at different holidays for different situations. Matter of fact, this past Turkey Day, my husband put in the chat for our family. Boy, Papa would have had a plate full of food, and let me tell you, he would have. That plate would have been piled up. And let me tell, at 9 years old, that boy could eat. So I can only imagine at 15, he would be 15 now. Bruh, eating us out of house and home. And I would have loved it. I would have loved it. But he brought that up and it made me laugh. It made me chuckle because he was right. Thinking of your loved ones and inviting their spirit, their memories to every holiday, it should not bring you despair and heartache. It should bring you happiness and joy to have them. And if it does hurt too much, you need to connect with me so that you can go through my course so you can break those chains. Break the chains of grief that are holding you hostage. You're not meant to stay anchored to those things. And you're not anchored to the loss itself. You're anchored to the emotion that has been unexpressed. Let me help you walk through that and get rid of that emotion that is holding you hostage. So, for those of you out there who have lost a loved one to death, I want to give you some pointers, some key points to get you through this holiday season. Mm. All right. So, now let's get to the meat of it all. Why we are really here. Let's talk about those of us who are missing our loved ones because they have gone on to paradise. That is by far the hardest one to deal with. But this is what I need for you to realize. But this is what I need for you to realize. The loss of your loved one should not make us neglect or forget about the loved ones who are still here. It's all right to acknowledge the loss, but do not forget to acknowledge the loved ones we still have here with us now, because it would be such a horrible fault for us to do so. Forgetting about the people that we have here with us, it makes them feel like we don't love them as much as we love the loved one who is gone. It makes them feel like they are not as important. And it can break relationships in ways that they are irreparable. Because, see, they are hurting too. You see, my children were hurting as well. My husband was hurting as well. I wasn't the only one hurting, but they needed me. They needed my love. They needed to know that I had not abandoned them as well. Because in the moment when you lose your loved ones, you feel abandoned. So don't allow the loss to make you lose out on anything else. And so, the first thing, first and foremost, you need to make sure that you are acknowledging that you love those of your loved ones who are still here. So you need to let them know you love them, let them know you care. You need to embrace them, let them know that you love. I let them know I love my baby boy who is gone, but I love them as well because I never want them to feel as though I gave up on life because I love Papa more than I love them. And you don't want that for your loved ones either. All right, we are back. All right, so number one, acknowledge that you love them, not any less than you love the lost loved one, but that you love them just as equally as you do. So acknowledge that you love them and care about them. Acknowledge that you do hurt because your loved ones are gone, but that does not mean you love them any less. And embracing them and allowing them to understand that you love them in spite of the hurt you are feeling, that is the reassurance that they need. And probably the very thing that gives them the strength and the encouragement to continue going on. Number two, create an environment where your loved ones feel comfortable expressing their own grief. You want to create a healthy environment where everyone is able to express their sadness, their anger, their frustration, whatever the emotion is, because everyone has a right to feel how they feel. but create a safe space for them to do that. And when you are willing to be transparent and show that you're hurting, that you cry, that you don't have good days all the time, that we are all on that emotional roller coaster, then you create a healthy environment for your other loved ones to express themselves as well. You let them know that it is okay to feel sad and it is okay to cry. Because it's when we keep those emotions trapped inside, that's where grief gets us. That's the trick right there. So many of us have been told to hold it in, don't cry in front of people, be strong. Mm-mm. All of that are lies. These are lies that the devil has just intertwined within our societal beliefs about how to deal with grief. Those are not correct at all. You need to be able to express how you feel. If you need to cry and you got a multitude of people around, baby, just cry and get it out of your system. But this is the thing. When you express how you feel, you cry, you purge, you get it out your system, then at the end of it all, make sure you follow up with a happy memory of your loved one. Don't let grief win. No. You get to cry it out and then you come back and you cover it with a happy memory that fills your inner being with joy and happiness at the wonderful memory of your loved one. But number two, create the healthy environment where everybody is able to, in a good manner, express how they feel. Number three, number three, create new traditions that honor the lost loved one, new traditions that keeps their spirit alive. Invite them to the dinner table. Maybe still make a place for them. And it reminds you to talk about them. Bring them up for every occasion. Think about, let everybody have a moment where they express what they think your loved one, let everybody have a chance to express what they think their loved one would be doing at that moment in time. Just like my husband said Papa would be eating a big plate of food. I said a big plate of food that he would finish and would be looking for another one, but he was going to the bathroom in between because he needed to make space for that next plate of food. Yes. And see, you see what I'm saying? Just the thought of it just brings joy in my heart because that's exactly what he would be doing. What would your loved one be doing this holiday? How would they be celebrating? What shenanigans would they be getting into? Create new traditions to keep the spirit of your loved one alive because if you don't keep your loved one's spirit alive, you know what happens? Their spirit dies when you go to the grave because you take all of those memories with you. I refuse. I refuse to let my baby boy's spirit die. He will live on and on and on. And I pray my family, when I go, does the same for me. Number four, create new memories with the loved ones you still have here. Life has to go on. We were created for a purpose. Tradition will tell us that grief stops you in your steps. How many of you know people who suffer any kind of loss, but especially the loss of a loved one, and they stop living? They're only existing. They're making no new memories with the people that they still have here. You know what I realized in my grief journey? That is like the biggest trick that the devil has put on us ever. He has insidiously put it in our minds that we need to remember the loved one. Every time the holiday rolls around, we need to remember that they're not there. Every time something new goes on, every time a new milestone that they might be missing. Oh, but if only he was here. Oh, if only she was here. And puts us in such a state of grief that we just exist and we don't live. And you know what happens when we're not living? We are not fulfilling our purpose. And you know what happens when we're not fulfilling our purpose? We're very likely interfering with our family members and their ability to fulfill their purpose. And every single person you were meant to impact in your life, none of them, none of them get to be impacted, so they don't get to fulfill their purpose either. Oh, yeah, the devil had it on down. Oh, the devil had it down pat. The devil realized if I could just steal your purpose, then the tens of thousands of people that you were meant to impact, they don't get their lives impacted and they don't live to their full potential. I mean, it's the biggest trick there is. So, whose life is not being impacted because you have given up, because you have allowed grief to win, because mama passed away, daddy passed away, your child passed away? How many of you has the devil stopped in your tracks and you thought it was just you, but it's not just you? It's you and every other purpose that you were meant to impact. And if it's hard to think about all of those people, think about the people who are closest to you. When you decide to give up, there is a part of you that is meant to impact their lives that will never be impacted. Are you keeping your loved ones from living to their full potential and being the best version of themselves that they can be because you gave up? And because you gave up, they gave up too. Now, how's that? I hope that riles up a whole lot of you. Because again, grief does not get the final say. Say it with me again. Grief does not get, ooh, I'm about to knock my whole thing out, right? Grief does not get the final say. It does not get the final say. You have the final say. You can only lose, you can only fail, you can only not achieve the greatest things in life that you were meant to achieve if you yourself give up. Grief cannot win. The devil has no hold on us. He can put things out there to tempt us, but he himself, he has no power over us. When Jesus died on that cross and rose from the dead, he he took the keys to dominion on earth back from the devil and gave it back to us. We have the dominion, we have the power. Take your power back. Stop lying there as though you are helpless. You are not helpless. Put one foot in front of the other. Don't think long term. Don't think about next week. Think about tomorrow. You just want to put one foot in front of the other so you can get to tomorrow. And when you get to tomorrow, then you get to the next day. And before you know it, you've gotten to the week. Then before you know it, you've gotten through the month. Then before you know it, you've gotten through the year. But you have to take the first step right now. So make new traditions. Make new traditions. Live so that your loved ones can have new traditions with you. And every time y'all are making these new traditions together, you continue to impact their lives so that they get a step closer to living to their full potential, that life that God created them to live. And number 5, encourage every loved one around you to live life with purpose on purpose. Jeremiah 1:5 once again says, before you were formed, I knew you. Before we were ever formed, God knew us. He knew us because He created us, and He created us for a specific purpose. What is your purpose? What has God put on your heart? It has always been on your heart. It has always been the thing that came easy for you to do. You've always been drawn to it. People have always felt you had a knack for it. Whatever that thing is, He created you for it. And it doesn't matter that you feel like well, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this and that's what I'm doing now. Because no, ma'am, no, sir. We are meant to move from glory to glory. So that means I have a knack for uplifting and encouraging. I have a knack for pulling people out of the dumps and helping them reach their next level of potential. I did that when I was in junior high. That was when I first realized it. I did it on a higher scale in high school, a higher scale in college, a higher scale in med school. I'm doing it now in my practice, but in my practice wasn't enough because every one of those things you see was just in a small area. What I know now is that God means for this impact, this knack that I have to impact people, to be national and eventually global. What are you doing that you think you've just reached the mountaintop you're supposed to be on? Now, understand this. There is a next level to the place where you are. There is always a next level. As long as God has you here on earth, you're never meant to be stagnant. And as long as you are moving from mountaintop to mountaintop, from glory to glory, you are also encouraging your loved ones to do the same. So I tell you, live life with purpose, on purpose, and encourage your family and your friends to do the same and go out there and impact lives. The reason why you were formed was to impact lives. Go out and impact those lives and shame the devil. And baby, if you have to cry and do it at the same time, cry, have your purge, bring up your good memories so you can get the feel goods again and continue it moving because it's okay. It's okay for you to express those emotions. Let nobody tell you otherwise. But the minute you're able to unload those nasty emotions that are trying to weigh you down, you are going to feel lighter. And then when you bring on the happy memories, you're going to feel like you're floating a little bit again, and it will give you the momentum that you need to forge forward to live the life that God created you to live. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you found this podcast to be helpful. Episode number 1 is done. Now, listen, I do have some call to action things for you to do. Number 1, if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, follow, whatever it says down there for you to do it. But follow my page. And listen up, I'm also on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. Come on and follow me and allow me to share my experiences with you and all of the wonderful tools that God has placed on my heart to share with you because we are setting captives free and we are breaking those chains that have held us in hostage for far, far too long. So that's number 1. Like, share, subscribe. Number 2, I mean, while you're there, you might as well comment. Go on ahead and comment. Let me know what you thought. Share it, share it, share it with all of those that you know need to hear this message because we want to get the message out as far and wide and deep as possible. Number 3, check back in every Friday evening around 6 p.m. for the next episode. This here is a 6-part series, but following that, we will continue to do some more things as well. Number 4, am I on number 4? Number 4, it's going to be number 4. Number 4, subscribe to my newsletter. And if you click on that QR code down here, there it is. Go on, take a little snappy poo of that. Get your camera on it. click the link that comes up, subscribe to my newsletter so that we can connect. I have so many wonderful things that are coming out. And listen, on my website, we have blogs that are coming out. You'll get a newsletter once a month. You can join the community of people who are breaking free. My mission, my mission literally is to set the captive free. And let me just end with this. The devil thought he had me. To be honest, to be completely transparent, I thought the devil had me too. Because I wanted to give it all up. I did not think I was going to survive that loss. But thanks be to God. God is faithful. If you do not know Father God, Lord of Lords, King of Kings, the Master, the Creator, the great I am, Jehovah, if you don't know Him, you need to know Him. You need to pray that prayer of salvation so that you will have a chance at eternal life. And you will understand as you get to know him. And listen, not know the church and know the pastor, but know the Lord. Make sure you have a good pastor. And the whole thing, you need to know the Lord for yourself and know his word so that you know if you're with the right shepherd. We need shepherds. We need shepherds that are leading us and guiding us in the right direction. But Jesus came for us to have direct access to God. Do not miss out on that direct access because you're playing around. Because an abundant life is what God has promised us. An abundant life is what awaits you. An abundant life is the gift that you have freely received. You got the gift, and the gift is just unwrapped under the tree. It's time for you to open up the gift. And it starts with knowing who the Lord is. But I am so grateful that God is faithful. And the Bible says that when we are weak, oh, that's when the Lord is strong. And baby, the strength of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And just trusting God and believing in God. When I was weak and I was ready to give up, the Lord was like, oh, no, ma'am. Oh, no, you will not give up. I don't think so, my daughter. Mm-mm, not today. You will not be giving up today. And when I was at my weakest, the Lord carried me until I could put 2 feet on the ground and walk and carry my own weight. And He will do the same for you. So do not allow the devil to trick you into quitting because the only way you lose, the only way you fail is if you quit, and he knows it. So thank you for joining me for my first podcast. Yes, it's done and over. I look forward to seeing you every Friday. I look forward to seeing you every Friday. And I look forward to breaking chains and setting the captives free. Why? Because we were born to be exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask, think, or even imagine, purposefully blessed, highly favored, conquering, overcoming, and living the best version of our lives that we were created to live. Peace, be blessed, and be great. Be purposefully great.